The radio crackled at 2:47 a.m., and what came through wasn't my partner's voice. I'm a patrol officer for the Navajo Nation Police Department, working the graveyard shift out of Chinle, Arizona. Been doing this job for 6 years now, and I thought I'd seen everything the res had to offer at night. Domestic calls, drunk drivers, livestock on the highway, kids joyriding in their dad's pickup trucks. Standard stuff for a Saturday night in northern Arizona. But that night taught me there are things out here we're not supposed to see. My partner Kyle and I had split up around midnight. He took the eastern route toward Canyon de Chelly, and I headed west toward the chapter house near Black Mesa. Nothing unusual about that. We did it all the time when things were quiet. Cover more ground, respond faster to calls. It made sense on paper. The October air was cold, maybe 35 degrees, and I had the heat cranking in the unit. No moon that night, just stars so bright they looked like pinholes in a black sheet. Out here, away from any real towns, the darkness is absolute. Your headlights carve out this little bubble of reality, and everything outside that bubble, or well, you just don't know. I've been driving for maybe 2 hours, checking on a few abandoned vehicles near the highway when the radio squawked. Unit 12, this is Unit 9, you copy? Kyle's voice. Normal. Maybe a little staticky, but normal. I grabbed the handset. Yeah, I copy. What's up? Got a call about some dogs harassing livestock near the old Begay place. You know where that is? I did. About 15 miles northeast of my position, up a dirt road that wound through some pretty desolate country. The Begay family had moved off the res 3 years ago, and the property had been sitting empty ever since. Yeah, I know it. You need backup? Nah. Should be fine. Just letting you know where I'll be. Probably just coyotes. Copy that. Stay safe. 10-4. Standard exchange. Nothing to indicate what was coming. I kept driving my route, circling back toward the main highway. The heater was making me drowsy, so I cracked the window. Let that sharp, cold air keep me alert. Sage and diesel exhaust. That's what the res smells like at night. 20 minutes later, my radio crackled again. Unit 12. Kyle's voice. But wrong. The cadence was off, like someone reading from a script they didn't understand. Unit 12. Can you come out to the Begay place? I need assistance. The hair on my arm stood up. I've known Kyle for 3 years. We'd been through a lot together. DUI arrest that turned violent, a officer-involved shooting over in Kayenta, even pulled a kid out of a flooded wash during monsoon season. I knew his voice, and this was his voice. But something about the way the words came out made my stomach tighten. Kyle, you okay? What kind of assistance? Silence. Just static. Kyle, respond. What's your situation? More static. And then, just come. Please. That word. Please. Kyle didn't say please on the radio. We didn't talk like that. It was all 10 codes and short, clipped sentences. Professional. I grabbed my phone to call his cell, but out here, no signal. Never was. I tried the radio again. Kyle, I need you to confirm your situation. Are you 10 to 10? Are you in danger? Nothing. I made the decision, flipped on my lights, no siren, and gunned it toward the Begay place. The Crown Vic's engine roared as I pushed it up to 80 on the empty highway, then had to slow down when I hit the turnoff. The dirt road was rutted and rocky. Couldn't risk blowing a tire. My headlights bounced crazily as I navigated the washboard surface. Sagebrush scraped against the sides of the car. Nothing out here but empty land and the occasional Hogan in the distance, dark and lifeless. I kept trying the radio. Unit 9, respond. Kyle, come back. Static. Kyle, I'm 5 minutes out. Respond. Nothing. The road curved around a small mesa, and that's when I saw it. Kyle's unit, parked sideways across the road, driver's door hanging open, headlights still on. The light bar was dark. I pulled up about 30 feet back, positioned my car at an angle so my headlights lit up his vehicle. My hand went to my sidearm, Glock 19, and I popped the retention strap. Unit 9, I'm on scene. Show yourself. I stepped out of my car, and the silence hit me. No wind, no coyotes, no insects, just nothing. Even with Kyle's engine running and mine idling behind me, the quiet felt thick and oppressive. His driver's door was wide open, interior light on. I could see his radio handset dangling by its cord. No Kyle. I approached slowly, weapon drawn but pointed down. Training kicked in. Check your surroundings. Don't tunnel vision on the obvious threat. I swept my flashlight in a wide arc. Nothing but sage and dirt and rocks. Kyle? Chinley PD. Call out. My voice sounded flat, like the darkness was swallowing it. I reached his car. Empty. Keys still in the ignition. His duty belt was still on the passenger seat. Gun. Radio. Everything. Kyle would never leave his weapon. Never. That's when I smelled it. Wet dog, but worse. Like something had died and then been left in standing water for days, rotten and thick, made me gag. I backed away from the car, bringing my weapon up to low ready. My flashlight swept the area again, and that's when I saw the tracks. Boot prints. Kyle's boots. I recognized the tread. They led away from the driver's side door, heading toward a cluster of rocks about 50 yards off the road. But here's the thing. They didn't walk. The prints showed he'd been running hard, toes dug in deep, long strides, and next to his boot prints, something else. Bare feet. Human-sized, but raw. The toes were too long, and there was a second impression next to each footprint, like something was dragging claws through the dirt. I keyed my radio, hoping dispatch could hear me, even if Kyle couldn't. Dispatch, this is Unit 12. I have a 1078. Officer needs assistance at the Big A property. Unit 9 is 10 to 7. Repeat, Unit 9 is missing. Requesting immediate backup. My radio screeched. Not static, horror screech. High-pitched and warbling, like a woman screaming underwater. I dropped it. Then, from the rocks, I heard Kyle's voice. Hey, over here. Help me. But it came from the wrong direction. The footprints led northwest, but his voice came from due west. I aimed my flashlight toward the voice. Nothing. Kyle? That you? Yeah. It's me. I fell. I think my leg's broken. The words were right, but the delivery, it was like someone had recorded Kyle saying those words separately and then played them back in order. No motion, no pain, just words. Kyle, stay where you are. I'm coming to you. I started moving toward the voice, weapon up, flashlight scanning. Every step felt wrong. My training said, don't go in alone. Wait for backup. But my partner was hurt. Maybe. Keep talking, Kyle. Let me follow your voice. Okay, okay, I'm here, by the rocks. It hurts. Still flat, still wrong. I was maybe 20 yards from the rocks when I saw movement. Low to the ground, fast. I stopped. Kyle. The movement stopped. My flashlight caught something. A shape behind a large boulder. Tall. Too tall to be. Kyle crouching. I'm talking 7 feet, maybe more. Show yourself, Chinle PD. It stepped out. I need you to understand something. I'm not a superstitious guy. I grew up traditional, sure, but I also went to college. I believe in evidence, in what I can see and touch. But what stepped into my flashlight beam, there's no scientific explanation for that. It had Kyle's face, not wearing it, not like a mask. It was Kyle's face, but stretched. The features were all there. His eyes, his nose, his mouth. But the proportions were wrong. The eyes were too far apart. The mouth was too wide. And the skin, gray-blue, in my flashlight. Loose. Like it didn't quite fit over what was underneath. It was naked, emaciated, ribs showing, arms too long, ending in hands with fingers that had too many joints. It stood on 2 legs, but the knees bent backward, like a dog's hind legs, and it smiled at me. Kyle's smile, but too wide, showing too many teeth. Help me, it said in Kyle's voice, but the mouth didn't move right. The words came out, but the lips were doing something else entirely. I fired 3 rounds, center mass, just like training. The muzzle flash lit up the desert. It screeched. That same sound from the radio, and bolted. Not like a human, not like any animal I'd ever seen. It dropped to all 4s and ran, faster than anything that size should move. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone, into the darkness. I stood there, shaking, my flashlight sweeping back and forth across empty sagebrush. My ears were ringing from the gunfire. The smell of cordite mixed with that rotten dog stench. I ran back to my unit, jumped in, and radioed, "Dispatch, dispatch, Unit 12, shots fired, officer under attack. I need every available unit to my location, now." The dispatcher, Linda, I think it was, came back immediately. "Unit 12, confirm shots fired. Are you injured?" "Negative. I'm not hit, but I need backup now. Something attacked me." "Unit 12, we're showing Unit 9. Just called in. He's 10 to 8 at the station. Says he cleared the animal call an hour ago." I went cold. "Say again?" "Unit 9 is 10 to 8 at the station. He's been there for 45 minutes. I looked at Kyle's empty patrol car, still running, driver's door open. "Dispatch, I'm looking at Unit 9's car right now. It's empty. He's not here." Silence on the radio. Then, "Unit 12, stand by." I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably 3 minutes. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Linda came back. "Unit 12, I have Sergeant Yazzie on the line. He confirms Unit 9 is in the station filing paperwork." "Are you certain you're looking at Unit 9's vehicle?" I read off the unit number on the door. Another pause. "Unit 12, advise your current status." I'm okay, but something's wrong, dispatch. I saw something. I shot at something. "Unit 12, backup is en route. ETA 20 minutes. Stay in your vehicle." I locked the doors. Those 20 minutes were the longest of my life. I kept my flashlight moving, scanning the darkness outside my windows. Twice I thought I saw something moving out there, low and fast, circling. My radio stayed silent. When backup finally arrived, 3 units, light bars blazing. I'd never been so happy to see other cops in my life. Sergeant Yazzie was with them. So was Kyle. Kyle looked fine, completely normal. Clean uniform, no injuries. Confused about why I'd called in an emergency. "Bro, I've been at the station for over an hour," he said, leaning into my window. "Took care of that dog call, filed my report, was about to head back out." "What happened?" I told him everything. The radio calls, the voice, finding his car, the thing with his face. They searched the area, found Kyle's patrol car right where I'd seen it, except it wasn't his. It was Unit 14, reported stolen 3 months ago from the Tuba City station. Someone had changed the numbers on the door with black tape. They found the tracks, boot prints, and those other ones. The bare feet with the claw marks. Crime scene tech took photos and casts. They found my shell casings. They found blood, just a few drops, but enough to collect. It came back from the lab 2 weeks later. The report said inconclusive. Possible canine DNA with anomalous markers. No one talked about what that meant. Sergeant Yazzie drove me back to the station, told me to take a few days off. "These things happen out here," he said quietly. "The old people, they know. They don't talk about it, but they know." I asked him what he meant. He just shook his head. "Some calls you don't answer. Some voices, even when they sound right, you don't listen." I took a week off. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing with Kyle's face, smiling at me. When I came back to work, there was a small leather pouch on my desk. No note. Inside was white ash and something that looked like a carved stone. I asked around. No one knew where it came from. I keep it in my pocket now, every shift. Kyle and I don't split up anymore. Department policy changed. All units patrol in pairs after dark. No explanation given, just a memo from the chief. I still work the night shift, still drive those empty roads, but I don't answer radio calls that sound wrong. I don't respond to voices that have the right words but the wrong rhythm. And when I'm out there in that absolute darkness, and I hear something that sounds like my partner's voice calling for help, I keep driving. Because here's what I learned that night, out here on the res. There are things that know us. They watch us. They learn our voices, our faces, our patterns, and they're patient. That thing, whatever it was, it studied Kyle, learned him well enough to almost fool me. If I hadn't known him so well, if I hadn't noticed that tiny wrongness in the way it spoke, I don't like to think about what would have happened. So if you're ever out driving at night, especially in remote areas, and someone, calls for help, but something feels off, even just a little, trust that feeling. Don't answer. Don't go looking. Because some things out there in the dark, they're counting on you being helpful. They're counting on you being a good friend, a good partner, a good person, and they'll use that against you. The real Kyle and I still work together. We're still friends. But sometimes when we're out on patrol and it's just the two of us in the car, I catch him looking at me with this expression I can't quite read. and I wonder if he's thinking the same thing I am. How do we really know it's us? If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying encounters from the dark corners of our world. Drop a comment below and tell me about any strange experiences you've had. I read every single one. And remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that know your name. My best friend stopped texting me back 3 days into our backpacking trip, but she kept walking beside me for another 2 days after that. I need to tell you this story because I think someone else might be going through the same thing. And if you are, you need to get out now. Don't make the same mistake I did. My name's Sarah, and I'm a pretty experienced hiker, 26 years old, been backpacking since I was 16, done portions of the Appalachian Trail, the John Muir Trail, even spent a summer working as a guide in the Rockies. I'm not some naive city girl who wandered into the wilderness unprepared. I knew what I was doing, or I thought I did. Last September, my best friend Amanda and I planned a 5-day backpacking trip through the canyonlands in southern Utah. We'd been planning it for months, mapping out our route, coordinating our time off, getting our permits. She worked as a nurse and I was between jobs, so the timing worked perfectly. The plan was simple. We'd start at the Confluence Overlook trailhead, hike down into the canyon system, camp at designated spots, and loop back to where we started. Roughly 40 miles total over 5 days. Moderate difficulty. We'd both done harder trips. We set out on a Tuesday morning in mid-September. Perfect weather, mid-70s, clear skies, just enough breeze to keep us cool. Amanda was in a great mood, singing while we hiked, making terrible jokes, taking photos of every interesting rock formation. "This is exactly what I needed," she said as we descended into the first canyon. 3 months of 12-hour shifts. I was going crazy. I agreed. The isolation felt good. Just us, the red rock, and silence. The first day went perfectly. We made good time, set up camp near a dried creek bed, cooked dinner, and sat around our little camp stove talking until the stars came out. Out there, away from any light pollution, the Milky Way looked like a smear of paint across the sky. Amanda pulled out her phone to take a picture. "No signal," she said, laughing. "Not that I expected one." "Good," I replied. "That's the whole point." We went to sleep around 10 p.m. The temperature dropped into the 40s, but we had good sleeping bags. I remember falling asleep listening to Amanda's soft breathing in the tent next to mine. Day 2 started fine. We packed up camp, filtered water from a small spring we found, and continued deeper into the canyon system. The walls rose up around us, massive red and orange cliffs that seemed to block out half the sky. Beautiful, but also oppressive, like the landscape itself was closing in. Amanda seemed quieter than usual, but I figured she was just tired. We'd covered almost 10 miles the day before. Around noon, we stopped for lunch at a place where the canyon opened up into a wider bowl. I was digging through my pack for trail mix when Amanda spoke. "Sarah, do you see that?" I looked up. She was staring at the canyon wall to our left, about 200 yards away. "See? What?" "There's someone up there, on that ledge." I squinted, saw nothing. "Amanda, there's no one right there. Blue jacket, they're waving." I looked harder. The ledge she was pointing to was maybe 60 feet up the canyon wall. There was no blue jacket, no person, nothing. "Babe, I think the sun's getting to you. There's nobody there." She kept staring for another minute, then slowly lowered her arm. Yeah, you're probably right. Sorry. trick of the light or something. We ate lunch and kept moving, but Amanda kept looking over her shoulder. That afternoon, the trail got rougher. We had to scramble over some boulder fields and navigate a few steep sections with loose rock. Amanda slipped twice, unusual for her. She was normally sure-footed. "You okay?" I asked after the second time. "Fine. Just distracted." "By what?" She didn't answer right away. When she did, the voice was quiet. "I keep feeling like someone's behind us." I stopped and turned around. The canyon stretched back the way we'd come, empty. Red rock and blue sky. Nothing else. "There's no one out here but us, Amanda. We haven't seen another hiker since the trailhead." I know that. But I keep hearing footsteps." I listened. Heard nothing but wind and the occasional call of a raven somewhere above us. "It's probably just echoes," I said. "Sound does weird things in canyons." She nodded, but she didn't look convinced. We reached our second campsite around 5 p.m., another designated spot near a seasonal stream. The sun was already sinking below the canyon rim, casting long shadows. Setting up camp felt different this time. Amanda was jumpy. She kept pausing, listening, looking around. "Amanda, seriously, what's wrong?" "I don't know. Something feels off." "Off how? Like we're not alone?" I looked around our campsite. We were in a small alcove carved into the canyon wall. One way in, one way out. No one was there. "It's just us, I promise." We cooked dinner, dehydrated beef stroganoff, and tried to relax. But Amanda barely ate. She sat on her sleeping pad, staring out at the darkening canyon. "I want to check my phone," she said suddenly. "Why? There's no signal." "I know, but I want to try." She pulled out her phone. The screen lit up her face in the gathering darkness. She stared at it for a long moment. "Anything?" I asked. No signal." She paused. "But I have texts." "What? How?" "There's no signal." "I know, but they're here. Look." She turned the phone toward me. The screen showed her messaging app. 3 texts from a number I didn't recognize, all sent in the last hour. The first one said, "Turn around." The second, "I'm right behind you." The third, "Why won't you look at me?" My skin went cold. "Amanda, those have to be old. Maybe they came through before we lost signal and just... they're time-stamped. Look, 5:32 p.m., 5:48 p.m., 6:03 p.m. She was right. The timestamps were recent, but that was impossible. "It's a glitch," I said. "Phones do weird things when they're searching for signal. The timestamps are wrong." Amanda stared at the messages. Then, slowly, she turned around. "Amanda, don't. There's nothing there," she said. "Right? You said there's nothing there." "There isn't." But even as I said it, I felt it too. That sensation of being watched, of something just out of sight, waiting. We slept in the same tent that night. Amanda insisted. She barely slept. I could hear her shifting around, breathing hard, checking her phone. In the morning, I found her sitting outside the tent, staring at her phone. "More messages?" I asked. She showed me the screen. Dozens of texts, all from that same unknown number, all sent during the night while we slept. "We're leaving," I said immediately. "Screw the rest of the trip. We're hiking out." But Amanda shook her head. "It's a 3-day hike back to the trailhead from here. Or we can push forward and finish the loop in 2 days. Either way, we're stuck out here." She was right. We were almost exactly at the halfway point. Turning back would take just as long as finishing. "Okay, I said. Then we move fast. We cover as much ground as we can today. Amanda agreed. We packed up in silence and started hiking. The plan was to make 15 miles, enough to put us within striking distance of the trailhead for the next day. But something was wrong with Amanda. She kept stopping, staring at nothing, tilting her head like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. "What?" I'd ask. "What is it? Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Someone calling my name." Every time, I heard nothing. By midday, she'd stop responding when I talked to her. She just walked, mechanically, staring straight ahead. "Amanda, you okay?" No response. "Amanda." She flinched, like I'd startled her awake. "What?" I asked if you're okay. "You're not answering me." "I'm fine, just tired." But, her eyes, something was wrong with her eyes. They looked unfocused, like she was looking through me instead of at me. We kept hiking. The canyon walls felt like they were closing in. The afternoon heat was brutal, over 90 degrees, and Amanda stopped drinking water. I had to force her to take sips from her hydration pack. "Amanda, you're gonna get heat stroke. Drink." She drank, but barely. Her movements were slow, sluggish. That evening, day 3, we reached our next campsite. Another alcove, this one deeper, almost like a cave carved into the canyon wall. I wanted to keep moving, but Amanda sat down and refused to get up. "We need to set up camp," she said flatly. "Amanda, we still have daylight. We can cover a few more miles. We're stopping here." There was something in her voice that scared me. It wasn't angry. It wasn't emotional at all. Just empty. I set up the tents while Amanda sat on a rock, staring at her phone. I asked her what she was looking at. "Messages," she said. "From who?" She didn't answer. That night, I woke up to the sound of Amanda's voice. She was outside the tent, talking to someone. "Yes," she was saying. "I understand. Yes, I'll bring her." I unzipped my tent and looked out. Amanda stood in the middle of our campsite, phone pressed to her ear, having a full conversation. "Amanda, who are you talking to?" There's no signal. She turned to look at me, and in the moonlight, I saw her face. Blank, completely expressionless. Her eyes were open, but empty. "Amanda?" She lowered the phone and smiled. It wasn't her smile. "Go back to sleep, Sarah. Everything's fine." I didn't sleep. I lay in my tent, listening to Amanda walk around outside, back and forth, all night long. When the sun came up, I found her sitting in the same spot, the same position, staring at her phone. "Amanda, we need to talk." "About what?" "About what's happening to you. You're not okay. We need to get you out of here." "I'm fine." "You're not. Last night you were on the phone with someone." "There's no signal out here, Amanda. You were talking to dead air." She looked at me, and for just a second, I saw my friend again, a flicker of fear in her eyes. Sarah, I can't remember last night." "Did I really?" "Yes. You were walking around camp, having a full conversation with someone. It scared the hell out of me." Tears started running down her face. "Something's wrong with me. I keep hearing things, seeing things, and the texts, they won't stop. They know things, Sarah. They know things they shouldn't know." "What kind of things?" She showed me her phone. The latest message, sent an hour ago. "Sarah's scared of you now. She wants to leave you behind. Don't let her." My blood went cold. "Amanda, listen to me. Whatever this is, we're gonna get through it, but we need to move. Right now, we're gonna hike straight through to the trailhead. No more camping. We're getting you out of here. She nodded. Okay, okay, let's go. We packed up camp in record time. I took Amanda's phone and turned it off, buried it at the bottom of her pack. No more looking at it, I said. We're going dark until we get out. We started hiking, fast, pushing the pace. My goal was to cover the remaining 20 miles in one brutal push. It would mean hiking until well after dark, but I didn't care. I wanted out of that canyon. For the first few hours, Amanda seemed better, more alert, more like herself. We even talked a little about normal things. Her job, my job search, our friend group back home, but as the afternoon wore on, she got quiet again, and then she started falling behind. Come on, Amanda, keep up. I'm trying. I'm so tired. I know, but we're almost there. Just a few more miles to the rim, then it's all downhill to the parking lot. She stopped walking. Amanda? Sarah? There's someone behind us. I turned around. The trail stretched back, empty. There's no one. No. This time there really is. Look. I looked harder, and I saw it. About a quarter mile back, something was moving toward us on the trail. Too far away to make out details, but definitely moving. Walking. That's just another hiker, I said, trying to sound calm. We're not the only people out here. But even as I said it, I knew it was wrong. We hadn't seen another soul in 3 days, and this person, they were moving wrong. The gate was off, too smooth, too fast. We need to move. Now. Amanda and I started power hiking. My legs burned. My pack felt like it weighed 100 pounds, but I kept pushing. I looked back again. The figure was closer, much closer. Still too far to see clearly, but gaining fast. Sarah, I don't think that's a person. What? The way it moves. People don't move like that. She was right. It was covering ground too quickly. And it wasn't just walking. It seemed to flow, like water running downhill. Run. We ran. Packs bouncing, boots pounding. I could hear Amanda gasping behind me, struggling to keep up. The trail curved around a rock formation, and for a moment, we lost sight of whatever was behind us. I grabbed Amanda's arm and pulled her off the trail, into a cluster of boulders. Stay quiet, I whispered. We crouched there, trying to control our breathing, trying not to make a sound. We waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5. Nothing. Maybe we lost it, Amanda whispered. Then we heard footsteps, slow, steady, coming down the trail toward our hiding spot. But they didn't sound like boots on stone. They sounded wet, like bare feet slapping against rock. Amanda grabbed my hand, squeezed it so hard it hurt. The footsteps stopped right next to our hiding spot. We held our breath. Then Amanda's phone rang from inside her pack, loud and shrill in the silence. Impossible. It was turned off. I turned it off myself, but it was ringing. The footsteps moved, fast, coming around the boulder toward us. I grabbed Amanda, and we bolted from cover back onto the trail, running uphill with everything we had. I didn't look back. Couldn't look back. Just ran. Amanda was screaming. Not words, just pure terror. The trail switched back up the canyon wall. We took the turns too fast, almost falling, catching ourselves, keep running. My lungs were on fire. My vision was tunneling, but I could see the rim right there, maybe 200 yards. Almost there. Keep going. We hit the rim at a full sprint and didn't stop until we reached the parking lot. My Subaru was there, alone, only car in the lot. I fumbled for my keys, got the doors open, threw our packs in the back, shoved Amanda into the passenger seat, started the engine, and floored it. We were 5 miles down the highway before either of us spoke. "Did you see it?" Amanda asked. "When we were running, did you see what was chasing us?" "No, I didn't look, did you?" She was quiet for a long time. I saw me. It looked like me, but wrong. I didn't know what to say to that. We drove straight to the nearest hospital. Amanda was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and in shock. They kept her for 2 days. I stayed with her the whole time. On the second day, when she was feeling better, I asked about her phone. "Where is it?" "I left it in my pack. I don't want it anymore." I'd actually left both our packs in the back of my car. I went out to the parking lot to check. Her pack was there. I opened it carefully, looking for her phone. It was at the bottom, right where I'd buried it, still turned off. But when I held it, it was warm, like it had been running. I took it inside and gave it to Amanda. Turn it on, check the messages. "Sarah, I don't. Please, I need to know." She turned it on. Hundreds of messages, all from that unknown number. The most recent sent just minutes before we reached the parking lot. It said, "I'll see you again soon, Amanda. We're not finished." Amanda threw the phone across the hospital room. It shattered against the wall. She started screaming. The nurses had to sedate her. We went to the police, filed a report. They were sympathetic, but said there wasn't much they could do. No one was hurt. Nothing was stolen. And our story, well, it was hard to explain. The investigating officer suggested we might have experienced some kind of shared hallucination brought on by dehydration and heat exposure. Maybe he was right, but I don't think so. Amanda and I don't talk much anymore. She moved back east to live with her parents. Last I heard, she was in therapy. I haven't been backpacking since. I still have nightmares about those canyons, about something following us, about Amanda's blank face when she was talking on a phone with no signal. And sometimes, late at night, I get texts from an unknown number. They say things like, "Amanda misses you," or "Come back to the canyon," or "Bring a friend next time." I've changed my number 3 times. The messages always find me. So, here's my advice. If you're planning a backpacking trip, especially somewhere remote, pay attention to your group. If someone starts acting strange, if they start seeing things, hearing things, getting messages when there's no signal, get them out immediately. Don't wait. Don't think it'll pass. Because whatever it is that lives in those wild places, it's patient, it's smart, and it knows that the easiest way to get to you is through the people you trust. If this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. Share your own experiences in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one this has happened to. And remember, always trust your instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Stay safe out there. I picked up a hitchhiker on Route 491 3 weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure it's still in my truck. I drive long haul, cross-country routes mostly. Been doing it for 12 years. I know every truck stop between Albuquerque and Denver, every way station, every spot where the state troopers like to hide. It's a good living if you don't mind the loneliness, and I never have. Not until that night. It was late October, and I was hauling a load of auto parts from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. The route took me through the northwest corner of New Mexico, right through the heart of Navajo Nation land. Beautiful country during the day, but at night, It's just endless black, nothing on either side of your headlights. I'd left Phoenix around 6 p.m., planning to drive straight through. My rig's a Peterbilt 389. Older model, but I keep her running smooth. She's got a good sleeper cab, satellite radio, and a CB that still works even though nobody uses them anymore. Everything I need for a solo run. The highway was nearly empty. Maybe saw 5 other vehicles in the first 3 hours. That's normal for Route 491 at night. It's not exactly a major thoroughfare. Around 11 p.m., I was about 40 miles south of Shiprock when I saw him. At first, he was just a figure on the shoulder, thumb out, lit up by my headlights. Male, maybe 5 to 10, wearing what looked like a denim jacket and jeans. No bag, no vehicle anywhere in sight. I normally don't pick up hitchhikers. It's against company policy, and you hear stories. But something about this guy, I don't know. I felt bad for him. Middle of nowhere, freezing cold out, no towns for miles. Against my better judgment, I slowed down, pulled onto the shoulder about 50 yards past him. In my side mirror, I watched him walk up to the truck. Normal gait, normal everything. I rolled down the passenger window. Need a ride? He looked up at me, and in my cab lights, I could see his face. Native American, maybe mid-20s, clean-shaven. Looked tired but harmless. If you're heading north, he said. Just to Shiprock. Shiprock was only 40 miles up the road. Easy. Climb in. He opened the door and pulled himself up into the passenger seat. Moved a little stiffly, like he was sore, but nothing strange. Thanks, man, he said, settling in. I really appreciate this. No problem. What happened? Car breakdown? Yeah. No, 5 miles back. Radiator went out. Had to walk. In the dark? That's rough. He nodded. Phone's dead too. Bad night. I pulled back onto the highway. Got the rig up to speed. The cab was quiet except for the engine rumble and the occasional crackle from the CB. I'm Tommy, I said. Francis, he replied. We drove in silence for a few miles. I kept the satellite radio off. Didn't want to be rude. Francis just stared out the windshield. After about 10 minutes, I noticed something. He hadn't blinked, not once. I watched him out of the corner of my eye. His eyes were open, fixed on the road ahead, unblinking. Maybe he's just zoned out, I thought. People do that, stare at nothing when they're tired. But it started to unnerve me. So, Francis, you from around here? He didn't answer right away. Long enough that I thought maybe he hadn't heard me. Then, yes, born here. 2 words. Flat. No inflection. Family in Shiprock. Yes. Another long silence. Okay, so he wasn't chatty. That's fine. Plenty of people aren't. But my hands were starting to sweat on the wheel. Another 5 miles passed. Francis still hadn't blinked. Still hadn't moved. He sat perfectly straight, hands on his knees, staring forward. I'd picked up dozens of hitchhikers over the years. Back when I was younger and dumber, they always fidgeted, adjusted in their seats, looked around the cab, made small talk, normal human stuff. Francis did none of that. He just sat. So, what do you do for work? I tried again. Silence. Then I watch. You watch? Like security? I watched the road. What the hell did that mean? My unease was turning into actual fear. Something was wrong. Every instinct I had was screaming it. I glanced at him again. He was looking at me now, not turning his head. His body was still facing forward, but his eyes had rotated in their sockets, looking directly at me. No one's eyes move like that. I jerked my gaze back to the road, heart hammering. Francis, you feeling okay? Yes. You sure? You seem off. I'm fine. His voice hadn't changed. Still flat, still emotionless. I checked my mirrors, looking for an excuse to pull over. Maybe another vehicle I could flag down. But the highway behind me was empty. Just darkness and my trailer lights. You know what? I need to make a quick stop. I lied. Grab some coffee. There's a truck stop coming up. No stops. The way he said it. Not a request. A command. I really need coffee, man. Won't take long. No stops. His head turned toward me. Slowly. Mechanically. Like it was on a swivel. And I saw his face in the dashboard lights. It was still Francis's face. Same features. Same skin. But the expression, it was wrong. The mouth was turned up in something like a smile, but too wide. The eyes were too open, and they still weren't blinking. Okay, I said quickly. No stops? That's fine. We'll go straight to Shiprock. Good. He turned back to face the windshield. I was gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles were white. 20 more miles to Shiprock. I could do this. Get him out of my truck. Drive away. Never pick up another hitchhiker again. The CB crackled. Static, and then a voice. Westbound Peterbilt, this is eastbound Kenworth. You got your ears on? Another trucker. Thank God. I grabbed the handset. Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead. Just wanted to give you a heads up, partner. Road's blocked about 15 miles up. Accident. State police got it shut down. They're detouring everyone off at the Newcomb exit. My stomach dropped. A detour meant side roads. Less traffic. More isolation. Copy that. Thanks for the warning. 10-4. Drive safe. The CB went quiet. I looked at Francis. He was smiling. That too wide smile. No detour, he said softly. Francis, there's an accident. The road's closed. We don't have a choice. Drive through. I can't drive through a police roadblock. Drive through. There was something in his voice now. Something that made my skin crawl. I saw the exit coming up. The sign for Newcomb. Last chance to get off this highway. Francis's hand moved. Slow. Deliberate. Reaching toward me. His fingers were too long. Way too long. I made a split-second decision. Cranked the wheel hard right, taking the exit way too fast. Trailer swung wide, tires squealing. Francis lurched to the side, his hand missing me by inches. Stop the truck. His voice, no longer flat. It was a screech, high-pitched and wrong. I kept going, downshifting, engine screaming, taking the detour road faster than I should have. Francis's body was changing. I could see it happening in my peripheral vision. His arms were elongating. His back was arching. The denim jacket was splitting along the seams. Stop. 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 I saw lights ahead. Other vehicles. The detour was leading us past a well-lit gas station. I yanked the wheel again, pulling into the parking lot, hitting the air brakes. The truck hissed and shuddered to a stop. I looked at the passenger seat. Francis was gone. The seat was empty. The door was still closed. No way he could have jumped out, but he wasn't there. And I sat there, shaking, staring at the empty seat. Then I saw it. Scratches, deep gouges in the leather upholstery, 4 parallel marks, like claw marks, and on the door handle, imprints. But wrong. The fingers were too long, the palm too narrow. I jumped out of the cab, ran into the gas station, practically screamed at the attendant to call the police. The cops came, took my statement, looked at the scratches in my seat, took photos. They searched the area, found nothing. The senior officer, older guy, Navajo, name tag said Big A, pulled me aside. You were on 491? Yes, sir. South of Shiprock? Yes. He nodded slowly. How far south when you picked him up? Maybe 40 miles. He exchanged a look with his partner. What? I asked. What is it? We get calls from that stretch pretty regular. Truckers, mostly. Sometimes tourists. They pick up hitchhikers who aren't what they seem. What are they? He didn't answer directly. You did the right thing, pulling off the highway. Getting to a public place with lights, that's what saved you. Saved me from what? From not being found. We've had 3 truckers go missing on that route in the last 5 years. Their rigs found abandoned on the side of the road. No sign of a struggle, just was gone. My blood went cold. What about my truck? Can I drive it? Officer Brigade looked at the Peterbilt. I'd get it blessed. There's a medicine man in Farmington who does cleansings. Here's his number. He handed me a business card. I thanked him and waited until sunrise to start driving again. Even then, I kept the radio loud and all the lights on. I drove straight to Farmington, found the medicine man. He was an elderly Navajo gentleman who took one look at my truck and nodded. Bad spear, he said. Very bad. How long was it inside? Maybe 20 minutes. You're lucky. Much longer, and it would have bonded to the vehicle. Couldn't get it out then. He performed some kind of ceremony, burned sage, sprinkled something that looked like cornmeal, chanted in Navajo. The whole thing took about an hour. When he was done, he gave me a small pouch. Keep this in the cab. Hang it from the mirror. Don't take it down. What is it? Protection. You'll need it. I paid him and left. And that was 3 weeks ago. I've been on 6 more runs since then. Different routes, different states, trying to get back to normal. But here's the thing. I keep seeing him, not in the truck, outside it. When I'm stopped at traffic lights, I'll see someone standing on the corner. Same denim jacket, same face, staring at me. When I'm at rest stops, I'll catch a reflection in my mirror. Someone standing behind my trailer. Too far away to see clearly, but the shape is right. And twice now. Late at night, driving through empty stretches of highway, I've seen someone on the side of the road, thumb out, waiting. It's always the same person. Francis, or whatever was wearing Francis's shape. I don't stop anymore. I don't even slow down. But the last time I saw him, 2 nights ago, on I-70 in Colorado, he wasn't on the shoulder. He was standing in the middle of my lane. I swerved around him at 70 miles an hour, missing him by inches. In my side mirror, I saw him turn, following my truck with his eyes, still not blinking. I'm starting to think Officer Brigade was wrong. I don't think it bonded to my truck. I think it bonded to me. I've got another run scheduled for tomorrow. Phoenix to Salt Lake again. Same route. I told dispatch I can't do it. I'm taking sick days. But here's what scares me most. Last night, I was in my apartment. Couldn't sleep. I was sitting at my kitchen table around 2 a.m., drinking coffee, trying to calm my nerves. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Static. Just static. Then a voice. Flat. Emotionless. Tommy. It was Francis. No stops, he said. and the line went dead. I'm writing this because I need someone to know what happened. If I disappear, if my truck is found empty on some desert highway, you'll know why. And if you're ever driving through Navajo country late at night and you see someone on the side of the road, someone who looks normal, who looks like they need help, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't even look, because some of them aren't hitchhikers looking for a ride. They're looking for something else entirely. And once they're in your vehicle, once they know your name, they don't leave. I can feel it watching me right now. Even though I'm alone in my apartment, even though every door is locked and every light is on, I can feel it. Still watching, still waiting, and I know eventually I'm going to have to drive again. That's when it'll make its move. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Share your own road trip horror stories in the comments. I'm starting to realize I'm not alone in this. And remember, when you're out there on those lonely highways, trust your gut. If something feels wrong about a situation, it probably is. Drive safe out there and keep your doors locked. The cabin was supposed to be empty, but someone kept answering when I knocked. I work for the U.S. Forest Service as a wilderness ranger in northern New Mexico. My job is pretty straightforward. I patrol designated wilderness areas, maintain trails, check on backcountry campsites, and monitor the old fire lookout towers and ranger cabins scattered throughout the Carson National Forest. Most of the time, it's peaceful work. Beautiful, actually. Just me, the mountains, and the occasional confused day hiker who wandered off trail. But last month, something happened that made me seriously consider quitting. It was early November, that weird time of year when winter's threatening but hasn't quite arrived yet. The high country was already getting snow, but the lower elevations were still clear. My supervisor had given me a task list for the week. Check the condition of 3 backcountry cabins before the serious snow hit. These cabins are relics from the 1930s and 40s, built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. They're maintained as emergency shelters for hikers, but most people don't even know they exist, too far off the main trails. The first 2 cabins were fine. Some mouse damage, a broken window I boarded up, nothing major. The 3rd cabin, the Valdez Creek Shelter, that's where things went sideways. It sat about 8 miles up a steep trail from the nearest trailhead. I'd been there once before, 2 years ago, and remembered it being in decent shape. 2 rooms, stone fireplace, wooden bunks, shuttered windows, basic but functional. I set out from the trailhead around 7 a.m. The hike was tough, 3,000 feet of elevation gain over those 8 miles, but the weather was perfect. Mid-40s, clear sky, barely any wind. I made good time and reached the cabin around noon. First thing I noticed, fresh boot prints in the mud outside the front door. That wasn't necessarily strange. Hikers use these cabins sometimes, but the tracks looked recent, maybe from that morning. I knocked on the door. Standard procedure. Don't want to barge in on someone who's legally using the shelter. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Forest Service. Anyone inside? Nothing. I tried the handle. Locked. That was weird. These cabins don't lock from the outside. The latch is inside only, which meant someone was in there and had locked it, or someone had been in there and somehow locked it when they left. I knocked a 3rd time. Hello. I'm with the Forest Service. I need to inspect the cabin. Can you open the door? I waited. Then From inside, footsteps, heavy, slow, walking across the wooden floor toward the door. They stopped right on the other side. I waited for the door to open. It didn't. "Excuse me? I'm Ranger William Torres with Carson National Forest. I need to come inside and check the cabin structure. Can you please open the door?" Silence. Then a voice. Male. Deep. Flat. "No, just that." No explanation. No reason. Just no. I frowned. "Sir, I understand you're using the shelter, and that's fine, but I'm required by law to inspect these structures for safety hazards. I need you to open the door." No, this was getting ridiculous. "Sir, I don't want to have to call this in, but if you don't cooperate, I'll have to contact my supervisor and potentially law enforcement. Is there a reason you can't open the door?" Long silence. Then the voice again. "I'm not dressed." Okay, that was plausible. Maybe I'd caught someone changing clothes or something. That's fine. Take your time. Get dressed. I'll wait out here. Leave. The word came out hard. Angry. "I can't leave, sir. I have a job to do. I'll give you 5 minutes to get dressed, then I'm coming in. The Forest Service has legal access to all maintained structures." I heard footsteps again, walking away from the door, going deeper into the cabin. I waited the full 5 minutes, checked my watch. When the time was up, I called out again. "I'm coming in now." I pulled out my multi-tool, worked the latch through a gap in the door frame, old Ranger trick, and got it open. The cabin was empty. I stood in the doorway, staring. 2 rooms, just like I remembered. The main room with the fireplace and the bunks. A smaller back room for storage, both completely empty. No person, no backpack, no gear, nothing. The floor was dusty, and there were footprints, boot prints, leading from the front door to the back room, but no one was there. I drew my service weapon, a Glock 40 that I'd only pulled maybe 3 times in 8 years, and cleared both rooms. Empty, I holstered the weapon and stood there, trying to make sense of what just happened. I had heard footsteps. I'd heard a voice. Both had come from inside this cabin, but there was no one here. I checked the windows, all shuttered from the inside. No way someone could have climbed out. I checked the back room more carefully. No other exit, just 4 walls, a small storage shelf, and that. I noticed more boot prints in the dust. They led to the corner and stopped. Not like someone had turned around. They just ended. Like whoever made them had been standing in that corner and then vanished. My radio crackled. I nearly jumped out of my skin. "Ranger Torres, this is base. Radio check." I grabbed it. "Base, this is Torres. Loud and clear. Copy that. Just checking in. What's your 20? At the Valdez Creek shelter. Conducting inspection. How's it look?" I stared at the empty cabin, at the boot prints that led nowhere. "It's fine. Everything looks fine." "Copy. Let us know when you're heading back." "Will do." Torres out. I should have left right then. Should have finished my inspection, locked up and hiked out, but I didn't, because I noticed something else. The fireplace. There were fresh ashes in it, still warm. Someone had had a fire going recently. I knelt down, felt the stones around the hearth. Definitely warm, but I hadn't seen any smoke when I approached the cabin. And fires don't put themselves out perfectly, leaving no coals, no embers, just cold ash. I stood up, and that's when I saw it. Scratched into the wooden mantle above the fireplace. Fresh scratches, made with something sharp, letters. They spelled, "Go away, William." My name, my full first name. I hadn't introduced myself by my first name. I'd said Ranger Torres. How did whoever was in here know my name? I backed toward the door hand on my weapon again. "Okay," I said out loud. "I don't know what kind of game this is, but I'm leaving now, and I'm reporting this to law enforcement. If you're still on Forest Service land when they arrive, you will be arrested." No response. I left the cabin, pulled the door shut, and started back down the trail. Fast. Didn't run. Didn't want to twist an ankle on the uneven terrain, but I moved as quickly as I could safely manage. I was maybe half a mile from the cabin when I heard it whistling. Someone was whistling a tune behind me on the trail. I stopped and turned around. No one there. The whistling continued, getting closer, but I couldn't see anyone. "Hello?" I called out. The whistling stopped. Then, footsteps, running, coming up the trail toward me, fast. I pulled my weapon and aimed at the trail behind me. "Stop. Identify yourself." The footsteps got louder, closer, and then nothing. They stopped right where I should have been able to see them, but there was nothing there. I stood frozen, gun raised, finger on the trigger, staring at empty trail. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Nothing. I slowly lowered my weapon, turned, and kept walking down the trail. The whistling started again. Right behind me, I spun around. Nothing. This happened 6 more times over the next 3 miles. Whistling, footsteps, both following me, both invisible. By the time I reached my truck at the trailhead, I was running. I threw my pack in the back, jumped in the cab, locked the doors, and sat there shaking. My radio crackled again. "Ranger Torres. Base." I grabbed it. "Torres here. Everything okay? We're showing you back at the trailhead earlier than expected." "Yeah, inspection's done. Heading back to the office." "Copy that. See you soon." I started the truck and drove the whole way back. I kept checking my rearview mirror, kept expecting to see someone standing in the road behind me or sitting in my back seat. Nothing. I filed my report that evening, told my supervisor the cabin was in good condition, didn't mention the voice, the footprints, the message scratched into the mantle. I should have, because 2 days later, we got a missing person report. A day hiker named William Begay, native guy, mid-30s, had been reported missing by his family. Last seen heading up the Valdez Creek Trail 3 days ago. Search and rescue went up. I was part of the team. We found his car at the trailhead, locked. His wallet and keys were inside. We followed the trail to the cabin. The door was open. Inside, we found his backpack, his water bottle, his jacket. No sign of William Begay, but there was something written on the wall in what looked like charcoal from the fireplace. It said, "William is here now. The SAR team searched for a week. Grid pattern, dogs, thermal imaging from a helicopter." Nothing. William Begay was never found, and I started having nightmares. Same dream every night. I'm standing outside the Valdez Creek cabin. I knock on the door. Footsteps inside, coming to the door. It opens, and I'm standing there, looking at myself, my own face, my own uniform, my own voice. "I'm not dressed," it says, and it smiles I wake up screaming. I requested a transfer. Got moved to a different district. Told my supervisor I needed a change of scenery. He approved it without question. But as I was packing up my desk, he pulled me aside. "The Valdez cabin," he said quietly. "You saw something up there, didn't you?" I didn't answer. "You're the third ranger to request transfer after working that area," he continued. "The other two won't talk about it either. But I need to know. Is that cabin dangerous? Should we close it?" I thought about it. Thought about William Begay's family. Still looking for answers. Thought about whoever or whatever was in that cabin. "Yes," I said. "Close it. Lock it up. Tear it down if you can. Can't do that. It's a historical structure. Protected. Then put up warning signs. Keep people away." He nodded. "I'll see what I can do." I don't know if he ever did. I work in a different forest now. Colorado. Hundreds of miles from that cabin. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. Whistling just outside my window. And I know eventually I'm gonna hear footsteps coming to my door, and when I answer, it'll be me standing there, asking to come inside. If this story gave you chills, please hit that subscribe button and share your own forest encounters in the comments below. Have you ever heard something in the woods that you couldn't explain? Have you ever felt like you were being followed by something that wasn't quite right? Let me know. I'd love to hear your experiences. And remember, when you're out in the wilderness, pay attention to your instincts. If something feels wrong about a place, trust that feeling and leave. Stay safe out there. My 7-year-old daughter has an imaginary friend, and I'm starting to think it's not imaginary. I'm a single dad. My wife passed away 4 years ago, cancer, and it's just been me and my daughter Emma ever since. We moved from Flagstaff to a small town outside Farmington, New Mexico about 8 months ago. Fresh start, new job, new house. The house is nice, old, built in the 1950s, but solid. 3 bedrooms, big yard, sits at the end of a dirt road with nothing but scrub land and scattered juniper trees for miles. Closest neighbor is about half a mile away. Emma loved it immediately, said it felt like a castle, her own kingdom. I was just happy to see her, excited about something. She'd been withdrawn since the move. Understandable given everything she'd been through. New school, new town, no friends yet. So when she told me she'd made a friend, I was relieved. "That's great, sweetie," I said one evening in late October. "What's their name?" "Lily," Emma said, coloring at the kitchen table. "She lives in the backyard." I assumed she meant a neighbor kid. Maybe someone from one of the houses I couldn't see from our place. "Oh yeah? Have I met Lily's parents?" "She doesn't have parents. Red flag number 1. But I wrote it off. Kids say weird stuff. "Does she go to your school?" "No. She only comes out at night." Red flag number 2. "Emma, is Lily real? Or does she pretend?" Emma looked up at me with those big brown eyes, so much like her mother's. "She's real, Daddy. She's my friend." Over the next few weeks, Lily became a constant presence in Emma's life. Emma talked about her at dinner, drew pictures of her, left out toys for her to play with. I figured it was a phase, a coping mechanism for the loneliness and grief. Lots of kids have imaginary friends, but then things started getting strange. It started with the knocking, 3 soft knocks on Emma's bedroom window, around 8 p.m. every night. The first time I heard it, I assumed it was a branch from the juniper tree near her window, but When I went outside to check, the nearest tree was 10 feet away, too far to reach the glass. The knocking continued. Every night, same time, same pattern. Knock, knock, knock. That's just Lily, Emma said when I mentioned it. She wants to come inside. Emma, there's no one out there. Yes, there is, Daddy. Look. She pointed at the window. I looked, saw nothing but darkness and my own reflection. I don't see anyone, sweetie. She's right there, in the white dress. My blood went cold. Emma's mother had been buried in a white dress. What does Lily look like? I asked carefully. She's pretty. Long black hair, really pale skin, and she smiles a lot. Not her mother, then. Thank God. Emma, where did you first see Lily? In the backyard. The first night we moved here. She was standing by the old well. The well. We had an old well on the property, 50 feet from the back door. It had been capped with concrete decades ago. Just a crumbling stone circle now. The realtor said it hadn't been used since the 1970s. Has Lily ever talked to you? She talks all the time. What does she say? Emma went back to her coloring. She says she's lonely. She wants to play. She asks about you. About me? Yeah, she wants to know your name, where you work, if you're nice. I didn't like that. Emma, I don't want you talking to Lily anymore. She looked up, confused. Why not? Because I said so, and I don't want you going outside at night, okay? But Daddy, no arguments. New rule. You stay inside after dark. She looked sad, but nodded. That night, the knocking came as usual. Knock, knock, knock. I went to Emma's room. She was in bed, facing the window. Emma, ignore it. Go to sleep. She wants in, Daddy. Well, she can't come in. Now close your eyes. The knocking got louder. Knock, knock, knock. I walked to the window, yanked open the curtains. Nothing there. Just darkness and the faint outline of the old well in the moonlight. I pulled the curtains close. See? Nothing there. It's just the house settling or something. Now sleep. I left, pulling her door mostly closed. The knocking stopped for about 5 minutes. Then it started again. But this time, it was coming from the back door. Knock, knock, knock. I walked through the kitchen, flipped on the porch light, and looked through the window. Nothing. The knocking came again, definitely from the door. Knock, knock, knock. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by the door and yanked it open. Empty porch, empty yard, but I heard breathing, close, right in front of me, like someone was standing there, invisible. I slammed the door, locked it, and backed away. The breathing continued on the other side of the door. Then, a voice, small, childlike, sing-song. Let me in, let me in, let me in. Go away, I said. Emma wants me to come in. Don't you, Emma? I spun around. Emma was standing in the hallway, sleepwalking, eyes open but unfocused. Emma, wake up. Let Lily in, Daddy. She's cold. Emma, go back to bed. Now. She blinked, focused on me. Daddy? What's wrong? You were sleepwalking. Come on, back to bed. I led her back to her room, tucked her in, and this time I stayed, sat in the chair by her bed until she fell asleep. The knocking didn't come back that night, but I knew it would. The next morning, I called in sick to work, spent the day researching the property, found old newspaper articles from 1973. Local girl missing, search continues. The story was brief. 7-year-old Lily Benally had gone missing from a home on Route 64. Last seen playing in her backyard near an old well. Never found. The house address matched mine. I felt sick. This couldn't be a coincidence. I kept reading. The search had lasted 3 weeks. Dogs, volunteers, police. They'd searched for miles in every direction. Theories ranged from abduction to wild animal attack, but one detail caught my attention. The well. Several searchers had wanted to look inside it, but it had been capped with concrete years before. They'd checked. No disturbance to the concrete. No way anyone could have fallen in. The search was eventually called off. Lily Benally was declared legally dead in 1980. I looked up at Emma's school photo on my desk. She looked almost exactly like the picture of Lily in the article. Same age, same build, same long brown hair. My hands were shaking. That evening, I had a plan. I made dinner, gave Emma a bath, put her to bed early. Then I went outside with a flashlight and a sledgehammer. I was going to break open that well cap. I don't know what I expected to find. Bones, maybe. Evidence. Something that would let me call the police and have this handled by professionals. The well cap was thick, reinforced concrete, but old, cracks, spiderwebbed across the surface. I raised the sledgehammer and heard Emma scream. I dropped the hammer and ran inside. She was in her room, sitting up in bed, sobbing. Daddy, Lily's mad. She's really mad. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here. She says you're trying to hurt her. She says she's gonna hurt you. The lights went out. All of them. Every light in the house. We were plunged into darkness. Emma screamed again. I grabbed her, pulled her close. It's just a power outage, baby. It's okay. Crash. Glass shattering. From the kitchen. Stay here, I whispered. Don't move. I felt my way through the dark house to the kitchen. My flashlight was still outside. Phone was in my pocket. I pulled it out, turned on the light. The back door window was smashed. Glass everywhere, and written on the door in what looked like mud, "She's mine." I ran back to Emma's room. She was gone. Emma, I heard her voice outside, calling for me. Daddy, help, I'm stuck. I grabbed a flashlight from the hall closet and ran outside. Emma was at the well, standing on the broken concrete cap, exactly where I'd been, about to start demolishing it. Emma, get away from there. I can't move, Daddy. My foot's stuck. I ran toward her and stopped because it wasn't Emma. It looked like Emma, same pajamas, same hair, same voice, but the eyes were wrong. Too big, too dark, reflecting the flashlight beam like an animal's eyes. Come help me, Daddy, it said in Emma's voice. I'm scared. Where's my daughter? It smiled. Too wide. She's here. She's with me. We're friends now. Come closer and see, I said. Where is my daughter? In the well, Daddy. The voice changed, deepened, no longer a child's voice. The thing wearing Emma's shape laughed. A horrible, wet sound, and then it dropped through a hole in the well cap. I heard it hit water, a splash, then silence. Emma. I ran to the well, shined my light down. The cap was broken, a hole about 2 feet wide, just big enough for a small body to fit through. The flashlight beam illuminated water about 20 feet down and floating face up in the water. Emma, my real daughter, unconscious, or worse. I didn't think, just acted. I lowered myself into the well, braced my feet and back against the stone walls and shimmied down. The space was tight, The stone was slippery, but I made it. I dropped into the freezing water, maybe 5 feet deep, grabbed Emma. She wasn't breathing. No, 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 baby, please. I started CPR, right there in the water. Chest compressions, rescue breaths. Come on, Emma, breathe. She coughed. Water came up. She gasped and started crying. Daddy, I've got you, I've got you. I looked up at the hole 20 feet above us. No way I could climb out carrying her. My phone. I still had my phone. I pulled it out, soaking wet. Screen cracked, but it turned on. No signal. Of course not. We were trapped. Emma clung to me, shivering violently. Daddy, I'm cold. I know, baby, I know. We're gonna get out of here. I started yelling, hoping someone, anyone, would hear. No one came. Hours passed. Emma was getting hypothermic. I could feel her body temperature dropping. I held her close, trying to share what little warmth I had left. And then I heard it scratching on the stone walls. Above us, something was climbing down into the well. I shined my failing flashlight up and saw it, pale, skeletal, wet black hair plastered to its skull, wearing the rotted remains of a white dress. It climbed down the walls like a spider, all wrong, joints bending in directions they shouldn't. The thing that had been pretending to be Emma, the thing that had been pretending to be Lily. You broke the cap, it whispered. You let me out. Finally. After so long, it was right above us now, hanging upside down from the stones. Its face, Emma's face, were rotted, decomposed. Thank you, it said, and it dropped. I dove under the water, pulling Emma with me. Felt something grab my leg. Pull. I kicked hard, felt my boot connect with something soft. It let go. I surfaced, gasping. It was gone. The well was silent. Daddy? Emma whispered. Is it gone? I don't know. We waited. Minutes passed. Then, light shining down from above. Hello? Anyone down there? A man's voice. I recognized it. Our neighbor, Mr. Yazzie. We're here. My daughter and I are trapped. Hold on. I'm calling rescue. The fire department came, lowered a harness, pulled Emma up first, then me. We were rushed to the hospital. Hypothermia. Emma had to stay overnight. I told the police everything. Showed them the articles about Lily Benally. They sent a team to search the well, found remains, small bones, a skull. DNA confirmed it was Lily Benally. She'd been in that well for 50 years. The police theory? She'd fallen through a weak spot in the original cap. No one had thought to actually break it open and look inside. But I know what really happened. Something had taken her, drowned her, and used her, wore her like a suit, waiting for another little girl who looked just like her. We moved a week later. Didn't even go back to pack, had a company do it for us. Emma doesn't remember much about that night. The doctors say it's trauma-induced amnesia. I'm grateful for that, but sometimes late at night when she talks in her sleep, and it's not her voice, it's someone else's saying, I'm still here, Emma. I'm always here. In the water, in the dark, waiting. If your child has an imaginary friend, pay attention to what they're saying. Pay attention to how they describe them, because some imaginary friends aren't imaginary at all, and some of them have been waiting a very long time to be found. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Share your own experiences with unexplained childhood encounters in the comments. I'm starting to realize these things are more common than we think. And remember, always trust your instincts when it comes to your children. If something feels wrong, investigate. It might save their life. Stay vigilant out there.